So hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Kreatryx. Welcome to Unacademy. So in these sessions, we are going to start the communication system and you are going to study the communication system like never before. So before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Vishal Soni and I have cleared ESE examination 2 times, both times in double-digit rank. And I have also served as a Group A gazetted officer in Indian Railways and in Indian Telecommunication Services. And I have also cleared a lot of public sector examinations. So right now I'm teaching on Unacademy and I really feel proud to be the part of the Unacademy team, because Unacademy is the revolution in the field of free education and in the field of affordable education, and we as a team are really looking forward for every student to just come onto the Unacademy platform. You can attend the special classes, you can come onto this YouTube channel and you can stay connected with us so that you can understand the quality education and you can understand the efforts that we are putting in, so that every student of this country, whether he stays in a village or he stays in a town, should get the access of the content, that too in a very affordable prices, and he can also or she can also clear the examination with the best possible ranks. So right now I'm teaching on Unacademy with more than 15 million watch minutes in the overall duration and 2 million watch minutes in the last 30 days. So I am right now the top educator in Unacademy across all the branches, having rank 4 right now. And you can also follow me on Unacademy on this particular link. So you can go and follow me on Unacademy. Apart from that, my advice to every student is that how should you crack the examination and what are the components to cracking the examination. So the first question that comes to the mind, that can anyone prepare from the YouTube? Yes, you can prepare from the YouTube, but you should develop or cultivate some habits in yourself. For example, you should be very much disciplined. You should arrange the extra resources. For example, the PDFs you have to arrange, the test series you have to arrange by yourself, and most importantly, that self-discipline you should be containing in yourself, so that you can be very corrective manner and you can approach the examination in the best possible manner. So all these things you have to arrange yourself. The sense of competitiveness you have to cultivate in yourself, because the audience on the YouTube are not that much of competitive in nature, or maybe you cannot feel the competition which is present right now. So all these things are the part of the journey if you want to prepare through the YouTube, or maybe if you want to prepare through the free resources. Apart from that, if you want that you should get complete content, then this is the YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel itself, all the free content are available. You just have to go to the playlist. All the subjects are completed there. You just have to go and watch all the lectures one by one. Definitely will be getting benefited. But the extra things that I have told you, that the self-discipline and the sense of competitiveness and a lot of things you have to arrange by yourself. If you are comfortable in that, then you can do that. Apart from that, you should also have Unacademy learning app, so that the special classes you can attend. A lot of educators in this country are actually providing the special classes, that too absolutely free of cost, so that you can get the quality content in the best possible manner. Apart from that, there is also another component for you, which is Unacademy Plus. So on Unacademy Plus, what is your job? You just have to study. If you join this Unacademy Plus, you do not have to worry about the crash courses, weekly test, doubt solving sessions, the language barrier, rank improvement batches, live classes. So all these things will be taken care by the Unacademy. You just have to take the Unacademy Plus subscription and you have to come on to the Unacademy. You will be daily getting the live classes. You will be getting the crash courses. When you will be getting the crash courses? When the syllabus are completed. You will be getting the weekly test in the form of quizzes. Every fourth class is the doubt solving session, which is the major you can say the component or the major impact will be creating on your studies will be this doubt solving group. Because until and unless your doubts are not being cleared, until and unless you are not able to clear your doubts, you will never get the confidence in the subject. So once you come on to this Unacademy Plus, every fourth class is doubt solving session. Apart from that, various other doubt solving sessions are going on. So ultimately you will be getting your doubts cleared and you will gain confidence in the subject. The language barrier will not be an issue, because the batches will be running both Hindi and in English, and rank improvement batches will also be there. So all these things are the component of this Plus subscription. Once you come on to this Unacademy Plus, you do not have to be worried about your self-discipline, your competitiveness nature. Everything will be present on Unacademy, because a lot of other students will be there. Since the classes will be live, you can also watch it recorded later on. So the discipline automatically comes, because you get the idea that you will be having the daily live classes. Apart from that, there is also one iconic subscription. In this iconic subscription, the game changer is this personal coach. So this subscription is for them who thinks that their basics are weak, or those who are talented but they needs a continuous push. So this personal coach will be guiding you throughout your study. He will be giving you the study planners. You will be getting the study booster sessions. Once you will get the test, you will be getting the analytics. Analytics plays a major role in improving yourself. We as a teacher also get our analytics so that we can improve on the daily basis. So once you start getting the analytics, you will be also improving massively on the daily basis. Apart from that, there will also be the guidance for the mains once you clear the prelims, and there will also be the guidance for the interview once you clear the mains. So once you take the iconic subscription, all the benefits of the plus are included by default in this. And if you take the plus subscription, then also these things will be included in that, though, so that will also create impact in your preparation, so that you just have to study, rest of the things will.
Hello friends, welcome to this lecture of communication system. So in the last lecture we studied about continuous and discrete random variables, and we also saw their distributions. So now in this class we would like to study this bivariate random variable. So first of all, let us try to understand what is this bivariate random variable is. So first of all, let us understand it by an example. Suppose we are performing an experiment in which the sample space contains 4 students, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and lambda 4, and this is your sample space. Now on this particular sample space, this lambda is representing a student. So if I'm defining a random variable x of lambda, and what this x of lambda is doing, x of lambda is basically defining the grade of the student. So it is basically representing the grades of the student. So how the mapping will look like, this is your sample space. These are 4 students, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and lambda 4. The basic function of a random variable is to perform mapping between sample space and real line, or to map the sample points on the real line. So I can assume this real line as x-axis, and on the x-axis it can take values from minus infinite to infinite. So what will it do? It will pick this student lambda 1 and it will map it to lambda 1 onto real axis as x of lambda 1, or it will map this students to its grade. Similarly, it will pick this student lambda 2 and it will map this sample point lambda 2 to x of lambda 2, and x of lambda 2 will represent the grade of student lambda 3. Similarly, x of lambda 3 will represent the grade of lambda 3 and x of lambda 4 will represent the grade of this particular student lambda 4. So what in this case you can do, that in this particular case the sample space contains 4 students and we have defined one random variable on this sample space. So this random variable is basically mapping the sample point on the real axis, or mapping the student to its grade based upon the given definition. Now what I can do is, I'm interested in defining 2 random variables on same sample space. So I'm keeping my sample space as it is, that is, this sample space is containing 4 students, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and lambda 4. Now instead of defining one random variable on this sample space, I am defining 2 random variables. So first random variable is as it is, that is, it is representing the grade of the student, while I am defining another random variable y of lambda, and which is representing the height of the same student. So now in this case what I did, I defined 2 different random variables on the same sample space. So now let us see how the mapping will take place in this particular case. So this is your real axis and this is also real axis. Here x can take values from minus infinite to infinite and y also can take values from minus infinite to infinite. This sample space has 4 sample points and each sample point is representing an student. So this is your sample point, and we have defined two random variables. One is x of lambda, another one is y of lambda. So what these two random variables will do, first of all, the random variable x will map this x of lambda 1 to its grade, and at the same time this random variable y will map this student lambda 1 to its height. So these two random variables, x of lambda 1, y of lambda 1, sorry, these two random variables, x of lambda, y of lambda, will map this particular sample point to x of lambda 1 and y of lambda 1. Now what happens in this particular case, the random variable x of lambda is mapping this lambda 1 to x of lambda 1, and this particular random variable y of lambda is mapping this lambda 1 to y of lambda 1. Or you can say that this random variable x of lambda is mapping this student's grade, and this y of lambda is mapping the same student's height. So in this particular case, this sample point does not map to x-axis or y-axis, rather it is mapped to some xy plane. Similarly, what will happen with student lambda 2? Student lambda 2 is representing a sample point, and random variable will map this lambda 2 to x of lambda 2, and random variable y will map it to some y of lambda 2. So basically this x of lambda is mapping the grade of this student, and y of lambda is mapping the height of the same student. So in this case also, it will not map to either x-axis or y-axis, rather this sample point lambda 2 is mapped to some point in xy plane, and that point is represented as x of lambda 2 comma y of lambda 2. Similarly, this sample point x of lambda 3 is mapped to x of lambda 3 and y of lambda 3 by the different random variables x and y, and same is the case with lambda 4. So what happened when we defined two random variables on the same sample space? Then in this particular case, each sample point is not mapped onto the real x-axis or real y-axis, rather each sample point is being mapped to a point in xy plane, and the pair of this random variable, we can denote it as x comma y with simplicity. So this pair of random variables are known as bivariate random variable or two-dimensional random variable. So what is the purpose of two-dimensional or bivariate random variable? Whenever on the same sample space we are defining two random variables, then each sample point will be mapped in xy plane, or each sample point will be mapped to a point in xy plane. Then the random variables pair is known as bivariate or two-dimensional random variable. In case of one-dimensional random variable, each sample point is mapped to a real line or a real axis, or that axis can also be called as x-axis. But in case of two-dimensional or bivariate random variable, each sample point is mapped into the xy plane based upon the definitions of the random variables x and y. So now let us try to discuss few properties of the bivariate random variable. So the first very important parameter, that is joint CDF of a bivariate random variable. So in this case, let us assume that x and y are two random variables on same sample space. So this pair of x comma y is known as bivariate random variable. So the joint CDF is defined as f of x comma y equal to probability of x less than or equal to x comma y less than or equal to y. We have defined the CDF in one dimension. this is the extension of that particular expression of the CDF. So in the 2-dimension you can write it like this. Now what we can do in this joint PDF is we should look some important properties of this given joint CDF. So first of all, first property, we know that the joint CDF represents the probability. So obviously the value of this joint CDF must be existing between 0 and 1. The second property is that if x1 is less than or equal to x2 and y1 is less than or equal to y2, then you can write fxy x1 comma y1 is less than or equal to fx comma y x2 comma y1 is less than or equal to fxy x2 comma y2, or in other way you can write it as x1 comma y1 is less than or equal to fxy x1 comma y2. This should be less than or equal to fxy x2 comma y2. So this above discussion basically refers that the joint CDF is non-decreasing function of x and y. So as it was in the case of one-dimensional CDF, same property holds true for joint CDF also, that is, it is a non-decreasing function of x and y. Now third very important property is that if I put both x and y to infinite, then the joint CDF becomes infinity comma infinity and value becomes 1. Similarly, if I put x as minus infinity and y may be any value, so in this case it becomes fxy minus infinite comma y, it becomes 0. Fifth property is if I am taking x as it is and putting y as minus infinity, in that case also it represents probability of xy x comma minus infinity and it is also 0. Or if I put both x and y as minus infinity, in that case also the value of joint CDF becomes 0. So whenever either x or y are minus infinite, in all that cases the joint CDF will always be equal to 0. Now the joint CDFs are also continuous from right, or we can say that f of x comma y a plus comma y is equal to fxy a comma y, or you can write x comma b plus, it is always equal to fxy x comma b. So it is representing that the joint CDF is continuous from right. Next property is the relation between PDF and probability. So if you have to write the probability x1 less than x less than or equal to x2 and y is less than or equal to y, then this probability can be written as fxy x2 comma y minus fxy x1 comma y, or you can write probability that x is less than or equal to x and y is lying between some y1 to y2. So you can write it as fxy x comma y2 minus fxy x comma y1, and if both x and y are varying, in that case you can write it as fxy x2 comma y2 minus fxy x1 comma y2 minus fxy x2 comma y1 plus fxy x1 comma y1. So these are the some important relations which you should remember. Now here I would also like to define about the marginal CDFs. So we know that this represent the joint CDF. Now if I have to write marginal CDF of x, so this can be obtained by putting y as infinity in joint CDF. Similarly, you can obtain marginal CDF of y. It will become fy of small y, and you can obtain it by putting a value of infinite in place of x. So this represents your marginal CDFs. Now let us try to discuss the conditional CDF. So before actually writing the conditional CDF, let me recall the Bayes theorem. So what does this theorem states? We can write as P A intersection B as P A into P of B by A, or P of B into P of A by B. So same logic I will use here also. The joint CDF can always be represented in terms of marginal CDF and conditional CDF, or you can write it as fy of y, f of x by y, x by y. So first of all I am defining conditional CDF of y when x is given. So the condition is given on the x and we have to calculate the marginal CDF. So the marginal CDF becomes f of y by x equal to fxy x comma y upon fx of x, and obviously here fx of x cannot be 0. Similarly, we can write down the conditional CDF of x when y is given. So the conditional CDF of x when y is given becomes x by y equal to fxy x comma y upon fy of y, and here also this marginal CDF of y should not be equal to 0. So in this manner you can calculate the conditional CDFs. Now we need to calculate the joint CDFs of independent random variable. So suppose x and y are independent random variables. So we know that when two random variables are independent, then we can take some inspiration from probability. So when events A and B are independent, then the conditional probability of A by B becomes A, or the conditional probability of B by A becomes probability of B. So same inspiration you can take from here also. You can write f of y by x as function of y by x equal to marginal CDF of y, and similarly f of x by y can be written as marginal CDF of x. So in this case, if I have to write the joint CDF of x and y, so the joint CDF becomes f of xy x comma y equal to fx of x into fy by x y by x. But if x and y are independent random variables, then this particular value becomes marginal CDF of y. So in this case you can write f of xy x comma y is equal to fx of x into fy of y. So this relation is very important, which you should remember it, that whenever the joint CDFs of independent random variables is to be calculated, you can multiply the individual marginal CDFs of the random variables. Now, till now we have studied about the joint CDF of bivariate random variable. So now in this discussion I would like to discuss about the joint PDF of bivariate or two-dimensional random variable. So if x and y are two random variables, then the joint PDF can be defined as f of x comma y, and the value can be obtained by differentiating the joint CDF with respect to x and y. So you can write the joint PDF in terms of joint CDF. Also, you can write the joint CDF in terms of the joint PDF. So it is representing your joint PDF. So these two relations are as it was in the case of one-dimensional random variable, that to obtain the PDF we will differentiate the CDF, and to obtain the CDF we will integrate the PDF. Now let us try to discuss the properties of the joint PDF. So the joint PDF has this type of representation. So first point I would like to say that for all x and y, the joint PDF should be non-negative, or it should be greater than or equal to 0. Second important point, the area under the curve of the joint PDF is always going to be unity. So these two properties are very important. Now suppose we have to calculate integration in this range. So to calculate the probability in this particular given range, we will integrate the PDF, or we will calculate the area under the curve of the PDF, where x is varying from x1 to x2 and y is varying from y1 to y2, and it becomes f of x comma y dx dy. Similarly, you can also calculate the marginal PDF from joint PDF. So to calculate the marginal PDF of x, we will integrate the joint PDF with respect to y. So once it is integrated with respect to y, you can see very clearly that after the integration we will put the limit of y and it remains the function of x only. Similarly, you can write marginal PDF of y. So the marginal PDF of y becomes minus infinite to infinite fx x comma y. So to obtain it as a function of y, we will integrate it with respect to dx. So in this manner you can calculate the marginal PDFs from joint PDF. X and y are two random variables and their joint PDF is given as this. So this is your joint PDF, f of x comma y, and it is defined for some a to b, and in y dimension some c to d, and it is having value of 0 elsewhere. And in this case, this f of x comma y, or the joint PDF, it is defined in some range of x and some range of y. In x-axis it is defined from a to b, and in y-axis it is defined from some c to d. So if you look closely, it actually makes a region in which your PDF is defined. So this is the region in which PDF is defined. So it represents a region in xy plane in which PDF is defined. So I am denoting this region as R1. So from now onwards, R1 is defined as the region in which PDF is defined. So now, suppose we have to calculate the probability such that x lies between x1 to x2 and y lies between y1 to y2. So we know that it will be the integration from x1 to x2, from y1 to y2. This will be f of xy, x comma y, dx dy. Now we know that if I will draw this x and y on the x and y plane, so here x is lying from x1 to x2 and y is lying from y1 to y2. So this is also representing the region. I'm denoting this region as R2, and R2 is the region in xy plane where probability is to be calculated. So now let me make both the regions R1 and R2 on the same plane. So we know that R1 was the region in which joint PDF was defined, and R2 was the region in which probability has to be calculated. So here R1 was representing the region where x was lying from some a to b and y was lying from some c to d. R2 was representing the region in which x was lying from some x1 to x2 and y was lying from some y1 to y2. So let me draw these two regions on xy plane simultaneously. So first of all, I am drawing this R1. This is A, B, this is C, this is D. And somewhere here I am drawing this R2. So this was your region R1 and this is the region R2. It is lying from y1 to y2 in x-axis and x1 to x2 here. Now you need to calculate the probability in the region R2. So the probability in the region R2 was from x1 to x2, it was from y1 to y2, f of xy comma dx dy, and R2 was represented by this. So you have to calculate the region in the probability R2. Now you can observe that this function f(xy) x comma y is defined only for the region in which x is varying from a to b and y is varying from c to d, and the integration limits are from x1 to x2 and from y1 to y2. So very clearly we can see from here that this function f of xy is taking values from a to b, and integration limit is from x1 to x2. But if we are taking the integration limit from x1 to x2, then from x1 to b this PDF is non-zero, and after b onwards this PDF becomes 0. So I have to change the limit from x1 to b here, and from here we have to change the limit from y1 to y2. You can see that if we are moving from y1 to y2 in this particular region from y1 to y2, the PDF is always non-zero. So this limit remains as it is from y1 to y2, and you can write it as f of x comma y dx dy. Alternatively, you can see that if I take intersection of r1 and r2, then the intersection of r1 and r2 gives us this particular region. So this is the intersection of r1 and r2. Now instead of writing all these things, I can also write that we basically have to calculate the integration in this particular region R, and this region R is nothing but intersection of R1 and R2, and it is very clear that R1 is representing the region in which PDF exists and R2 is representing the region in which probability has to be calculated. So for the proper calculation we need to take the intersection, because the limits will be adjusted according to the PDF. The PDF is existing between A to B and C to D, and accordingly the limits has to be adjusted. So for the calculation of this particular expression we need to take the intersection of r1 and r2, and after the intersection you can very clearly see that x is varying from x1 to b in this intersection range, and y is varying from y1 to y2 in this intersection range. So basically if we are taking the intersection already, then we need not to think a lot about the adjusting the limits of the integration. So in general what you can say that if you have to calculate the probability in a region, then the probability in a region becomes double integration r fxy x comma y dx dy, and here the r is r1 intersection r2, where r1 represents the region in which PDF exists, and R2 represents the region in which probability has to be calculated. Let us try to understand it by another example. Suppose we have a joint PDF f of x comma y equal to some definition of it, where x is varying from a to b and y is varying from c to d, and it is 0 elsewhere, and we have to calculate the probability such that x plus y is less than b. So this probability we have to be calculating. Now you can see that this particular probability is representing the region R2. So we will have to take the intersection of R1 and R2, and this particular range of the PDF in which PDF is existing will represent the R1. So the value of this particular integration will become R fx of x comma y dx dy. Now let me draw the diagram. First of all I will draw the R1. So what is R1 here? R1 is having variation from A to B on x-axis and C to D on y-axis. So this is the region in which PDF is existing, or this is your R1. Now I need to draw the R2 also. So R2 is representing x plus y less than b. So first of all, I will draw a straight line which is x plus y equal to b. So x plus y is equal to b will pass through this point, and let me draw some x plus y equal to b. It is representing the line x plus y equal to b, so this point will also become b. So I have to calculate the region for which x plus y is less than b. We know that the upper region will represent x plus y greater than b, and the lower region will represent x plus y less than b. So this particular region will be x plus y less than b, or you can write that it is representing the region R2. Now you need to look carefully that what is the intersection of R1 and R2. So R2 is this your blue line, and R1 is this blue line. So what is the intersection of R1 and R2? So R2 is represented by this particular yellow line, and R1 is your this blue line. So you can clearly see that the intersection between these 2 points is existing in this given region. This is the intersection region. This region is your intersection region. So in this region, you need to calculate this particular integration. So how we will calculate the integration? We know that if we need to calculate the integration in the region, we need to cut a strip. So we will cut a strip which is a vertical strip. So this is the vertical strip which I am cutting in this particular region. This is the vertical strip. So now as this vertical strip is moved, we can see that the value of y-axis will change at this as this strip will move forward or backward, its height will be changing. So the lower limit of height will always be equal to c, and the upper limit, we have written that x plus y is equal to b. So at the upper limit, the value of y can be written as b minus x. So at the lower limit, y is always equal to c. Whether you can move this vertical strip from this point to this point, in all those points the lower limit will be c, and the vertical limit, as you will vary, it will be the function of x, or in general you can write the vertical limit will always be equal to y is equal to b minus x. Now what about x? We know that as this vertical strip will move from this point to this point, the x parameters will change from a to b. So this is the basic of double integration which we are using here. So first of all, I am writing the limit of x which is from a to b, by limit of y which is from c to b minus x, and after that we need to perform the double integration. So to perform the double integration, you need to have basic idea about the double integration, how to do the double integration. So here I am giving you some basic idea. So everywhere you need to calculate the double integration, you need to cut either vertical or horizontal strip. So I'll be cutting the vertical strip, and based upon that I will be performing the double integration. So this is the basic idea behind the discussion which we are doing, that how to calculate the probability in a region in case of bivariate random variables or two-dimensional random variables. So this is the general discussion. This we will be using in the questions. So the summary, you can see that whenever we need to calculate probability in a given region, that region I am denoting at R2, then you need to calculate the double integration of joint PDF in a region R, and where R is representing R1 intersection R2, and R1 is the region in which PDF exists, and R2 is the region in which probability is to be calculated. So the R will represent R1 intersection R2. This will represent a region in XY plane. So you need to cut a vertical or horizontal strip to perform double integration. So this is the basic idea behind this particular discussion. Now let us define the conditional PDF. So for defining the conditional PDF, we know that the joint PDF can be written as fx of x, fy by x, y by x equal to fy of y, fx by y, x by y. So first of all, I am writing the conditional PDF of y when the condition on x is given. So this can be written as probability of y by x equal to joint PDF upon fx of x, and obviously here this marginal PDF should not be equal to 0. Similarly, you can write conditional PDF of x when y is given. So this conditional PDF is f of x by y equal to joint PDF upon marginal PDF of y, and here marginal PDF of y should not be equal to 0. So in this manner you can write down the conditional PDFs. Now we want to write the joint PDF of independent random variables. So suppose if x and y are independent random variables, then what you can do, you know that this conditional PDF f of y by x will become fy of y. So basically it will does not depend on y, or this conditional PDF f of x by y becomes f of x comma x, and it does not depend on y. So we know that the joint PDF is fx of x into fy by x y by x. So when x and y are independent random variables, so it can be written as fy of y, or you can write that for independent random variables the joint PDF becomes the multiplication of individuals marginal PDF. So this relation is also important when x and y are independent random variables. Now we have already seen that if we have to calculate the probability in a region R2, so this will become joint PDF dx dy, and R is R1 intersection R2. Now if x and y are independent random variables, in that case the probability of R2 becomes double integration in the region R. So the joint PDF in this case can be written as fx of x into fy of y. So you can write it as fx of x into fy of y dy dx. So these were some very important discussions which you should take care, and in the next lecture we will study about the probability mass function of discrete random variables. So thank you.
So hopefully we have understood every concept in this class. If you have any doubt in any concept, you can let me know in the comment section. I'll try to resolve that thing. Apart from that, you can also follow me on various social media platforms. For example, you can join this Telegram group where you will be getting important notification, important updates. This is Telegram group where you can also comment, you can ask your queries, or maybe you can also suggest me for the improvement. Apart from that, this is my Unacademy profile. On this Unacademy profile, you should also follow me so that you can get the important updates of the Unacademy also, right? And this is the Notion page. You just have to type this tiny.cc/VishalGate. So you will be redirected to a page where all the special classes are arranged very systematically. तो मैंने बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स पे स्पेशल क्लास ले रखी है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल नाइक्विस्ट, फूरियर सीरीज, latches and flip flop, double integrations, okay, lot of things are there. So you will be getting all these concepts absolutely free of cost. You just have to type this in your URL. You will be redirected to that page and attend these lectures one by one. You will be getting a next level confidence in these topics that I can guarantee you. Now this is the Notion page of your YouTube, on which you will be getting the links of the YouTube. Apart from that, you will be also getting the PDFs of that particular lecture. So this is very important for you, and just you have to type http://bit.ly/GateLive. So Gate Live, you just have to type it in the capital so that you can access all the lectures link and PDF arranged systematically. So if you want to attend or you want to clear the examination with the free resource, then this is the channel for you. This is the best recorded videos which has been ever made. You just have to go to that lecture, just click the link and download the PDF and start studying systematically. So we have also done this for you so that any student, whether he is sitting any part of this country, should not face the difficulty in cracking the examination, whether he can afford or he cannot. Now if you can afford, then the subscription prices are not something which you cannot pay. It is very nominal amount which you can pay, and you can just avoid all the distractions, all the time wastage which we will be doing in downloading those PDFs, arranging them, arranging for the test series, and a lot of other things that you have to arrange, doubt solvings you have to arrange by yourself. If you want to avoid all those distractions in a very nominal amount, so you can go for the Unacademy Plus subscription. For 12-month subscription, you have to pay only 74 rupees per day. Apart from that, for 18-month subscription, which is the best possible subscription, you have to pay 63 rupees per day. It is even lesser than the pizzas that you order on your home. So it is that much of amount that can shape your career, that can give you the best possible rank in the examinations under the guidance of the best teachers of the country, which has been right now placed on the Unacademy. Now 24-month subscription will cost you 54 rupees per day. So these subscription amounts will give you the subscription for the desired period. Apart from that, if you are using this code, you just have to remember this code, write my name, write GATE after it. You can also write ESE after it. So you have to write my name and write ESE after it. So any one of these code, once you apply, you will be immediately getting the 10% discount. You will be getting all the features of the Unacademy. You will be getting the guidance of all the teachers present on Unacademy, and everything you will be getting that is needed to crack the examination once you are using this code. So if you think we are working hard, we are giving our best content, we are giving the free content absolutely for you guys, and everything that is needed for every student to crack the examination. So never forget to use this code whenever you are taking the subscription. So this code is very important and you have to use every time you are taking the subscription. Now those who are interested for the prices, total price amount, so let me tell you, total price is 27,225 for 12 months, 34,650 for 18, and for 24 months it is 39,600. You can also pay this by using zero cost EMI. Zero cost EMI can be paid by credit card and debit card. In debit cards, there are only Bajaj and HDFC as of now available. Okay, so this zero cost EMI means you do not have to pay anything extra. Any interest is not, you should not pay, and you have to pay this much of amount on the daily basis if you are looking for the zero cost EMI option. Apart from that, if you are coming for Iconic subscription, so Iconic mein, I have already told you that your personal coach will be the game changer. He will be he will be basically following you to give you the guidance so that you can get the success in a very short span of time. So he will be following you, he will be pushing you every time. Now once you use this coupon code, this will be costing you around 45,225, and if you are using this coupon code, write my name GATE after it, you will be getting the 24-month subscription of Iconic in 66,600 rupees. Fine. Apart from that, every one of you should follow this GATE aspirant group, and there also some important notification always comes. Now what are the YouTube channels that you should immediately subscribe? This Kreatryx, this is the channel on which you are present. This is Unacademy GATE questions, where previous year questions has been solved by the educators, so you'll be getting all the previous year questions video solution apart from the PDF also. This is the Electrical Junction channel, where you will be getting the important concepts of ECE and electrical, and this is Engineering Pathshala, where you will be getting some practical aspect of the videos, some animated videos that will enhance your ability to think. So these are the channels which you should immediately subscribe so that you can get a better content. Fine. Now these are my some YouTube videos which I have created for you. In all of these videos will give you some motivation, guidance, content, and some strategy. So these are hand-picked videos. You can immediately follow these videos. Okay, so thank you so much. And those who are coming on this channel, immediately share all the content which is present on this channel. We are working very hard for you guys, so this is your responsibility that you should share this channel, you should subscribe this channel, also share the link of this channel, link of the videos, link of the educator whom you follow, so that every student who is needy, they can come onto this channel and they can get the best possible rank. So all the best everyone, let's crack it.